Hello and good afternoon, sir. Welcome to HNLU.
Good afternoon, Ajut, and good afternoon all the people who are there on the webinar.
We have around 40 odd people. Welcome everyone. We have with us today Brigadier Harminder Singh Matan. He is a retired Army officer and a qualified interviewing officer at the Service Selection Boards. And without further ado, I'd like to call him up on the mic to introduce himself and move forward with the webinar. So please, the mic is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I am Brigadier Madan. I am from originally Dehradun, now settled in Chandigarh. I was commissioned into Indian Army in 1983 into 17 Battalion, the Jat Regiment. I had a privilege to fight a war with this unit during Off Vijay Kargil 1999. You would have heard of Captain Anuj Nair, Mahavir Chakra. He was from my unit. He died in front of us. And thereafter, he commanded the same unit in high altitude, varying from 16 to 18,000 feet, where temperature used to be minus 40. Thereafter, I commanded a brigade, and finally, I was active GOC of a mountain division. In between, I was an interviewing officer at Service Selection Center, Allahabad, for a period of 2 years. I have interviewed more than 2,000 plus candidates. Plus, I have trained candidates from various institutes. Like we have two institutes in Tri-City. One is Mai Bhago Armed Forces Preparatory Institute for Girls. Second is Maharaja Ranjit Singh Armed Forces Preparatory Institute for Boys. Plus, I have trained cadets of various Sainik schools and military schools. So this is my introduction, a brief introduction. I can't hear you, Achut.
There are a few standing instructions for all of the participants. We'll have a short question answer session at the end with the Brigadier sir. Before that, please keep yourselves on mute. And for now, we'd like to move on with the webinar for the specifics as Brigadier sir would like to go on. Sir, please.
Okay. I'll briefly touch upon what is life in Army as a general officer. Then I would briefly touch upon what is life for a JAG officer, that is for a legal officer. Then I will cover what are the options to join Army as a legal officer. I will cover what are the options to graduate, because some of you might be interested in utilizing both the options if your age permits. Then I will briefly touch upon the selection procedure. What is the selection procedure? I'll briefly touch upon the SSB, and lastly, I will touch upon what are the officer-like qualities which are required to join the Army. Okay, starting with life in Army as an officer. In fact, Army gives you a golden opportunity to join one of the best armies of the world. It's the third largest army in the world. It makes you an officer, and besides, it makes you a gentleman. The pride, the honor, the respect of wearing the uniform, the adventure, challenge it offers. I don't think any other job in the entire world or in the entire country offers this. It is not only a profession, it is a way of life. The spirit of comradeship which you develop, the brotherhood, the loyalty towards each other, I don't think any other organization offers you. It teaches you values, it teaches you integrity, loyalty, discipline. You sacrifice your life for Naam, Namak, and Nishan. Naam means for the name of your country. Namak means because you are serving in this organization, you are ready to give your life. Nishan is for the flag of your unit, flag of your army, flag of your country. You sacrifice your life. I would like to add, this is the only organization as an officer you can send your men to death, which only God has got this power. So we have to be very judicious as an officer. If you have got that power, that means you should be an excellent leader. You should never utilize this power to send your men to. Okay. Now coming on to some practical things, it gives you job security, it gives you satisfaction. You are a class 1 gazetted officer in a central government, drawing a salary maybe more than an IS or any other class A job. It offers you professional and personal growth, all-round development of personality, because besides doing your own job, you participate in various adventure activities, in sports, in extracurricular activities. It offers you a lot of things. The quality of life it offers you, I don't think, even after paying a huge sum, you can get in civil. The clubs, the messes, the golf courses, the institutes, the comradeship amongst your colleagues, the medical facilities, the canteens, I don't think any other organization offers you. Pay and allowances and perks, I've already told you. You contribute towards nation building for the security of the country. It offers you opportunity to upgrade your qualifications. It gives you study leave. You want to do research, you want to do LLM, you want to do something more. It gives you 2-year study leave after some requisite service. It is molding you as a leader. Every day your leadership qualities are coming out. And you are paid to lead a healthy lifestyle. And lastly, it teaches you to adjust in all kinds of environment. In my last webinar also I mentioned, we can sleep on a floor, we can sleep on a floor on a rock, we can sleep in a 5-star. We can eat roti or we can eat shakarpara and survive. We can eat 5-star food also. We can drink running water stream, water from a running stream. We are used to drink mineral water also. So it gives you a very high degree of social adaptability, which I don't think any other organization offers. So I think this is more than adequate for motivation of people to join army. Okay. Now coming on to specific to JAG branch. I'll first elucidate what is JAG branch. It is Judge Advocate General Branch. It is the law branch or the legal branch of the Indian Army, where only officers who are qualified, who are graduates in LLB are taken in. It is headed by a major who sits in the Army headquarters. He is the chief legal advisor, chief of the Army staff. He makes all the policies as far as legal policies are concerned. Then at every headquarters, we have a legal officer starting from a brigadier in command headquarters, a colonel in corps headquarters, and then under them various lieutenant colonels, majors and captains. Wherever these senior officers are there, they act as advisors to their bosses. That means you are giving legal advice to your seniors. Initially when you join army, you may do 1 or 2 years of attachment with fighting arms, maybe infantry, maybe with artillery. And that is an excellent period to know more about army. And this is a period when you are not into legal things. But once you finish your attachment, then you are only doing a legal job. In fact, one is JAG branch, the second is the AMC, that is Army Medical, where you do your own specialization. Whereas somebody joining as an engineer may join infantry. Somebody with some other qualification may join artillery or infantry. That means he is not doing his own profession for which he is qualified. But as a legally qualified, that is somebody with an LLB degree or somebody with an MBBS degree, they will be doing what they have learnt or what profession they belong to. Your main job is basically to vet the legal documents and give the correct advice so that suitable disciplinary action can be taken. You can be member of a court martial, but you are not the presiding officer. That means out of 5-judge bench, you are one of the member of the court martial. You have one vote. It is like your 5-judge bench in a Supreme Court or a High Court. But all legal recordings are done by the JAG officer in a court martial. You scrutinize all summary of evidences, all court inquiries, all legal documents which are put up to you, and you advise your commanders whether they are legally correct or not. You represent army in civil courts. We have our own IPC. You have your IPC. We have our Army Acts. For that, we refer to two books: Manual of Military Law. We have Army Acts. We have Army Rules. Army Acts are equivalent to your IPCs, where if somebody in Army uniform commits a crime, he is charged under specific. Like say, if somebody is absent without leave, he is charged under Army Act Section 39. Then we have Army Act Section 48 for intoxication. We have Army Act Section 63 for good order and military. So I don't want to bore you with all these Army Acts, but basically Army Acts are equivalent to your IPCs. Army Rules tells us how to, the procedures for these things. Say if a court martial has to be held, then Army Rules will tell us all the procedures. And lastly, you are also responsible for monitoring human rights, especially in the areas where we are deployed in counter-insurgency operations. Now I'll come to the main thing, which is the career options for the law students. I'm quite worried because a lot of people contact me, especially on the LinkedIn, and most of them are not aware about their joining army. So I request if you can spread this word to your colleagues who are not here, because only few people have joined me, because there is a very good service. It straight away gives you a class 1 job and you are doing your own profession. So this entry is called JAG branch. It is open for both men and women. The qualification required is a plain BA LLB degree with 55% marks. You should be registered with a bar council, either of center or of state. Age limit 21 to 27 years. That is minimum 21 years, maximum 27. As far as marital status is concerned, you should be unmarried. The notification for this entry is twice a year. Once in July-August period, maybe another 2-3 months you will see this notification. And second would be January-February. And there is no written exam. There is only an interview held, which you said in your initial briefing, it is called SSB, Service Selection Board. Now the interviews for the July-August entry or notification, interviews are held in December or January. That means after 6 months of your application. And for the second, which is you apply in January, February, the interviews are held in July, August. Training starts twice a year because there are 2 batches, once in April and second one in October. Training is held in Officer Training Academy, Chennai. The duration is 49 weeks, and in the training period, you are paid a salary of a class 1 officer. Only thing is the DA you get once you get commissioned. That means from day 1, you will start getting your salary. And vacancies are notified every year. So this keeps varying over a period of time. I'll request you to see the notifications. The notifications can be seen in the website of Indian Army, www.indianarmy.nic.in. It will give you all these details which I have told you. Now, if somebody wants to join as a plain graduate, which is nowhere connected to law branch, though if you are legally qualified, initially you join as a plain graduate, you may be transferred to JAG branch. This entry is a UPSC entry. It is at Indian Military Academy or Officer Training Academy, depending on permanent commission or a short service commission. This entry has got a large number of vacancies, 100 per course. And for short service, there are 175 per course. That means 200 in a year for IMA and 350 per year for OT. Only thing, the age for this graduate entry, the age is 19 to 24 for permanent commission, and for short service it is 1 year extra, 19 to 25. Now you have to apply online through the UPSC website. The notifications are issued in July and November for IMA. In fact, both for OTA and IMA, the notifications are issued in July and November. Can you hear me, Achut? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Sir, yes, sir, we hear you.
Suddenly your crest of your university had come up. Okay. Now for this entry, which is a plain graduate entry, there is a written exam. For permanent commission, the written exam is general knowledge, your English and mathematics. For short service, it is only English and general knowledge. So there is no maths. And here the training for permanent commission is 1.5 years, and for short service is 49 weeks, same as your JAG entry. Any doubts so far? A break. Anybody? No, you have muted everybody.
Just a second, sir, I'll unmute.
No, don't worry.
All right.
Is my
We'll take up the questions at the end, I suppose, sir.
Okay. No. So I told you about the application procedure. The first one, that is for the JAG entry. It is joinindianarmy.nic.in. It is a non-UPSC entry. The advertisement is taken out by Director General of Recruiting. It comes out in all employment news, in all national dailies. You have to apply online, and there is no written exam. Please underline this, no written exam, directly interview, but the interview is very comprehensive. It is a 5-day thing. It is not half an hour interview. Okay, I'll cover the interview part later. Whereas I told you about the UPSC, there is a written exam, and thereafter followed by a SSB. Okay. Now I'll come on to the selection process. This is the most comprehensive selection procedure followed by any other organization in the country. No organization follows a 5-day testing. Earlier, anybody going for the SLG was undergoing the complete 5-day testing. But now, since large number of candidates are reporting and we don't have so many instructors to assess them, we have started a screening system. So, on the first day, we have a screening test. I don't want to demoralize people who are listening, but in the screening, the rejection rate is quite high. It may go up to 60, 70, 80%. Okay. So, the first most important thing is the stage 1 test or the screening test. Once people clear this screening test, they undergo the 5-day testing, which consists of a psychological test, a group test, and an interview, followed by a conference procedure. That means 3 different assessors are assessing you, but what they are looking for in you is officer-like qualities. The method of looking at you is different. The way of looking at you is different. It is like 3 different cameras placed at 3 different angles, but focusing on one object. The object is the candidate. And the 3 different cameras at 3 different angles are the 3 assessors. That is interviewing officer, the group testing officer, and the psychologist. Now SSB is based on the principle of Mansa, Vacha, and Karmana. You all are aware what is Mansa. Mansa is your mind, what you are thinking, how you are thinking. It is assessed by the psychologist. Vacha is how you speak, what you speak. That is checked by the interviewing officer. Karmana, as you are aware, is karma is action, what you do on ground. It is checked by the group testing officer. Okay. Now, I'll not cover all the details because in earlier webinar also I covered what is SSB, but I'll briefly touch upon what are the tests in stage 1. In stage 1, the most important test is the IQ test because it is a written test. This is the only test which is written, which is objective. Now, this written test of IQ consists of 2 parts, verbal and non-verbal reasoning. The second test is you are shown a picture, you are told to write a story. This is meant to generate a discussion. It is called picture perception description test. I'll again repeat, PPDT or picture perception description test, where you are shown a picture for some time and you are told to write a story. Now the third test is individual narration, where you are given 1 minute and whatever you have written in your story, you have to narrate it in English. So basically, we are checking your communication skill in English, we are checking your confidence. And the last part of the test is a group discussion. You all are aware, you are nearing your graduation, you know what is a group discussion, but here the group discussion is slightly different. We tell the candidates to discuss the story which they have made and tell them to come to a common group story. So, in group discussion, we see your group behavior. So, stage 1, if you ask me what all we are looking for, basically we are looking for communication, we are looking for confidence, we are looking for your bearing, we are looking at your IQ test, we are looking at your group behavior. How you behave when you are sitting in a group. Are you able to convey your points? Are you able to accept points of others? And lastly, if somebody has a stammer, generally he is not taken because we would not like to have people with stammer in Indian Army. Okay, so this is the stage 1 test. Now I'll briefly touch upon the other tests, starting with the psychological test. The psychological test is a written test which consists of 4 parts. The first is the word appreciation test, where we show you 60 words over a period of 15 seconds each, and you are asked to make a sentence. So this is WAT or WAT in short. It is not a test of English language. Basically, these tests are meant to extract your personality. What thoughts come to you when you are shown some positive or negative word. I am again repeating, it is not a test of English language. It is not a test of making a sentence. So don't start making sentences. You may be shown a negative word like a murder or kill or thief. We would like to see what thought is coming in your mind when you get this word. Okay. The next test is situation reaction test, or in short we call it SRT. We give you a booklet containing 60 situations. For each situation you are given to solve it, and you have to write down your solution. Again, they are very tricky situations and you have to think for a possible solution. Your leadership, your thinking process comes out in this. The third test is the thematic apperception test. You are shown 11 pictures and 1 blank slide for a specific duration which is very short, 30 to 45 seconds. And each picture you are given 4 minutes to write a story. Again, your personality comes out when you write your stories. I'll again repeat, it is not English, it is test of your psychology, test of your personality. The last test is a self-description test where you are supposed to write 5 paragraphs. First para on what your parents feel about you. Second para, what your teachers feel about you. Third para, what your friends feel about you. Fourth para, what you yourself feel about yourself. So it is analyzing your personality from different angles. So this is broadly as a psychological test. Then is an interview. Generally, interview is held for a period for 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the candidate. But generally, maximum would be 45. Again, I would say here, it is not a knowledge interview. Don't worry that you will be asked questions on legal matters. No, maybe 5 minutes, yes. But balance of 40 odd minutes will be devoted to assess your personality. We go into your background. We go into your education. We go into your friends. We go into your teachers. We go into your parents. We go into your hobbies, sports, games. We see what resources you have got and how you have been these resources. So it is a personality interview, very simple questions, but assessment is based on how you answer them. Like how you've been spending your time with your friends, how was your relation with your teachers, how is your relations with your parents. So all these relationships are seen, and how you utilize the resources which were available to you. So this is about interview. Little bit of general knowledge, little bit of current affairs, and rest is all your personality, divided into three parts: education, family, and your hobbies and spare time activities. I come on to the last test, which is a group test. It is an outdoor test. Okay, but outdoor test does not mean that it is more of physical. Yes, there is a little bit of physical, but that is not very important. We are looking what is here in your upper story. So we have more of mental tests than of your physical tests. We have a group discussion, two group discussions in this, where in a group of 10 you are made to sit, you are given a topic. One is current affairs topic and second is a social topic, where you are told to generate a discussion. You all are listened, heard for about 15 to 20 minutes in each discussion, and the group testing officer makes his own assessment. There are two GDs. Then there is one lecturate, which is extempore. You're given 3 minutes to prepare and 3 minutes to speak. Initially, you are given a card of 4 topics. You have to pick up one topic and you stand in front of the class and you have to for 3 minutes. Okay, so this is a lecturate. Then you have a group planning exercise where a group of 10 is given a problem, you are given certain resources, you are given a map in front, and you have to solve that problem. And again, at the end of the problem, there is a group discussion. Why I am highlighting all these group discussions or lecturates and interviews and the stage one, because anybody who's keen to join must first prepare his communication skills and confidence. So that is the first requisite to appear for an SSB. Then we have an individual obstacle where there are 10 obstacles for gents and maybe 8 obstacles for the ladies. And within 3 minutes, you have to do these obstacles, basically to look after your physical fitness. Then you have a group obstacle race where in a group of 4, you have to run an obstacle race and finish it. And then few other tasks which are outdoor tasks. And on the last day, we have a conference where all 3 assessors will sit together. That is the day when they all wear uniform. You are called in. Again, a mini interview is held and your result is decided. Once the conference is over, your result is announced. The selection rate is not very high. because we are looking for certain things. If those things are there in the candidates, they will get selected. If they are not there, they will not get selected. We don't dilute our standards. Now, if somebody has to prepare for the SFB, he must be physically fit. He should have a high level of IQ. His verbal and communication skills, both written and verbal, should be good. He should have a sense of responsibility. He should be disciplined. He should have a good general knowledge. He should be playing some games and should have some hobbies. So these are some basic requirements. Okay. I come to an end. You can ask them if they want to know about the OLQs. Otherwise, I'll finish. Officer-like qualities.
Definitely, we would love to hear you upon that as well, sir. That's
Okay. But my only advice is don't mug off these OLQs and start telling in the interview, sir, I've got good reasoning ability and I've got good organizing ability, because you'll be caught that you have been coached. So just hear my this thing OLQs, don't waste too much of time, and thereafter forget their headings. Don't ever use these headings in the assembly. Okay, you'll be caught. The first one is the effective intelligence. Okay. Now you all know what is intelligence. Whereas in effective intelligence, what we say is your practical intelligence. How you are using your brain to solve a practical problem. How with limited resources you are solving a problem. How you are utilizing the resources which are available to you. Okay. Then we have reasoning ability. Here we are looking at your grasp. Say if an order is given to you, how you grasp that, how you understand. It should not happen every time you are saying pardon sir, pardon sir, pardon sir. Okay. Receptivity, your inquiring attitude. That attitude to know about new things. Because in army every day there is something new. So you must have that inquiring attitude. You must be able to analyze the problem, prioritize, detail the resources, and solve that problem. This is the management jargon. Analyze, prioritize, detail resources, and give the best option to your boss. Ki, sir, it should be done like this. If it's fine, then otherwise it is your. Then we have organizing ability. How you organize your resources in a systematic way to solve a problem. A very simple thing. How you keep up your room. Your parents must be telling you, you're throwing your books here, you're throwing your uniform, you're throwing your dresses here. That means you don't have a good organizing ability. I see some girls also here. The girls have a better organizing ability than boys, because they will come, fold their dresses, keep their books at a nominated place, and their rooms are always spick and span. The boys are slightly spoiled. Then we have power of expression. Power of expression is not speaking good English. Power of expression is that you are able to convey your thought process to somebody who is listening to you. It may be a mix of Hindi and English. That's why I'm saying English, a good convent English is not important. It is how you are conveying your things to others in a very simple and lucid way. Now we come to a very important quality, that is social adaptability. As the name suggests, generally you would have heard of adaptability, but social adaptability. How you adjust with your colleagues, with your subordinates, with your superiors. We adjust very well with the superiors when we are in the job. The problem comes in our colleagues and subordinates. We are a different personality when we deal with our subordinates or with colleagues. But we look at this quality in three factors: superiors, subordinates, and colleagues. Because in army, you have to gel with everybody. You have to have good relations with your subordinates also, because these are the people whom you have to lead in war. Okay. Next is cooperation. See, when you are a leader, everybody will cooperate with you. Suppose you are not a leader, will you cooperate with your leader to accomplish a task which he has been given? Please try to understand what I am saying. Your cooperation factor comes out when you are not a leader and you are giving your cooperation. Okay. The third one is sense of responsibility. Sense of responsibility is your discipline, your punctuality, you're doing your duty, doing the task which has been given to you. Next, we come to the initiative. Initiative is to start a thing and to sustain it. It is very easy to start a thing. Say you want to establish a firm. Yes, you will be able to with the money you got. But can you sustain it? Have you thought ahead? Will this institute work? Whatever I have opened, will it give me profit? Will it generate jobs or whatever? Okay. So that is initiative. Next is, I am explaining you in a non-military way so that you understand. Self-confidence, as you all aware, it is your own confidence. Own confidence to. Okay. So it is very important. You should have faith in yourself, especially when you are working in an unfamiliar situation. Everybody is very confident when you are in your familiar field. But when I take you to a different field, you may not be very confident. That is what we see. Then we have speed of decision. As the name suggests, speed of decision. That means you take a decision at a faster speed. But that doesn't mean you take a wrong decision. It is more important to take a correct decision than have a speed of decision. So speed of decision has two parts. One is a quick decision, which is required in army, especially for people who are fighting. And second is, which is more important, I would say, is the decision. You may kill your entire company, 120 people, if you take a wrong decision in speed. So it has to be a correct decision. Okay. Then is ability to influence a group. All these qualities are leadership qualities. So if you have all these qualities, you will be able to influence the group. The way you speak, the way you conduct yourself, the way you show your confidence. So that is your ability to influence a group, where you are taking a willing cooperation from your entire group. Then is liveliness. Liveliness doesn't mean you are laughing, you are smiling, you are throwing jokes or something. Liveliness is your inner liveliness, your mental liveliness. You don't buckle under stress. You can work under stress. Okay. Then lastly, we have three, which are very simple but very important. One is determination. Determination is self-explanatory. Determination, you are determined to do a thing despite facing failures. You are told to capture a post. In the first attack you have failed, you launch a second attack. Okay, so that is determination. Then is courage. One is physical courage in the face of enemy, but we are more bothered in the initial stage, your mental courage. Are you ready to accept a mistake which you have done? Moral courage. Are you morally correct? You done something wrong, you accept it. I would tell you my own personal experience. As a brigade commander, I got 4,000 men under me. If something has happened with one of the units or with one of my subordinates, I will go and ring up my senior. Sir, this thing has happened. First thing he would ask me, who is responsible? I would say, sir, me. And that is the end of it. No action. But moment if I say so and so, he will order a court inquiry, he will order a court martial, he will order something. Moment he says the commander is taking on the responsibility, that is my moral courage. Because I am commanding these men, I have to protect them. I can't be exposing them to my seniors. And lastly is the stamina. Again, people think stamina means physical stamina. It is physical stamina, but more of mental stamina. Again, it is same, do you buckle under pressure? Can you take on lot of stress? Can you take on lot of pressure? because this is the service, especially not in the legal branch, but in other branches which are fighting branches. We have to undertake a lot of mental pressure, especially people who are in JNK, in Valley, in CI Ops. So your mental stamina is very, very important. So these are the OLQs. I briefly explained you, tried to explain it in a very simple way, because had I gone as per the definition, it would have been very boring. I have finished. We can invite questions.
Sure, sir. There are few standing instructions for all of the participants over here. I've allowed you to unmute yourself. If there are any questions that you would like to present to sir, please unmute yourself and bring it up onto the screen, and he'll be glad to answer them.
You can ask them to raise their hand. There is an option of that. They can raise their hand also.
Sure.
Just a minute. अंशु थोड़ी देर में रिंग करना. ऑल वेल. हाँ, मम्मी को रिंग कर दे, मैं इधर कॉन्फ्रेंस में हूँ. ओके. हाँ, सॉरी.
Yeah. There was one question that had flowed in, which was about the physical requirements, as in the physical attributes that are required out of a person when going through the procedure of selection.
Okay, we don't have a separate physical test. There is no running like we have for the Jawans. We have to run 1.6 kilometers in so and so time. Though there was a lot of pressure on us to introduce a physical test, but we don't have it. The only place where you are physically tested is in the third test, which is a group testing or ground testing. Okay, where you are supposed to do, I'm talking of males, 10 obstacles in 3 minutes. They're very simple. And for the girls, I think there are about 6 or 8 obstacles and simpler than boys. So that is the only place where we see your physical fitness. But my advice is, if you are going in for army, start jogging. Start from 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers. And nowadays, if you are in a lockdown, if you have a home gym, or if you can go to the gym once they open up, you can do a treadmill or at least run 3 to 4 kilometers. That's all.
Right, sir. Another question that pops up is, what about the medical requirements in terms of what are the attributes that are required?
Okay. If somebody wants the detailed medical requirements, I would request him to go to the UPSC website, where there are notifications for CDS or NDA. They have given one full page on the medical standards, where they are given the height, the weight, the eyesight. Okay. So all these things are there.
So this is the same as the CDS requirements?
Same as CDS. Same as CDS. So you can go to the UPSC website or get hold of a old IMA CDS form or the medical standard. If somebody has got any specific requirement, he can ask me directly.
Right, sir. Another question that flows in very consequently to whatever we have discussed. When you mention the attributes that are tested during the selection process, would there be any tips or any recommendations that you would like to give out to people in terms of developing those mental standards or attributes that you espouse?
I initially, if you remember, I checked up, I told everybody how to prepare for the SSB.
Yeah.
Those are the things which I would request everybody to prepare, because there's a very comprehensive procedure over a period of 5 days. And I would request, if somebody is really interested, because all of them may not be interested, my mobile number is there on the poster. They can contact me personally.
All right, sir. Another question that flows is in, what is the scope of promotions in the job after joining?
Okay, sorry, I forgot to tell you. The highest rank with a JAG officer or a legal officer can go up to is a Major General. But there is only one vacancy, so you know the degree of toughness. But otherwise, the routine promotion, you join as a lieutenant, within 1 or 2 years you become a captain, after 6 years you become a major, After 13 years, you become a lieutenant colonel. This is all automatic. Till lieutenant colonel, there is no selection. Thereafter, we have a selection board where around 18 years or so, or depending on every batch, the age differs. Maybe with 18 years of service, you become a full colonel. Okay. And then another 6-7 years, you become a brigadier. But you must realize as you go up, the number of vacancies are less, so it will be a very deep selection. But everybody will become a lieutenant colonel, and even a colonel would not be very difficult.
All right, sir.
The highest the general.
Sure, sir. Another question that flows in is, can a lawyer volunteer for the...
I'll add one more thing. The starting basic is around 65 or so, 65,000. Then if you add DA and other things, your transport allowance and ration and all, it goes up to 1 lakh. So the starting salary is 1 lakh. And it keeps going every year. You get an increment, you get a DA increase. So it's a drastic jump every year. And it jumps when you become a captain, it jumps when you become a major, it jumps drastically when you become a lieutenant colonel. Sorry, you were asking something.
Sir, keeping that aside, there's a question that flows in. Can a lawyer volunteer for the territorial army?
Yes, why not? See, that's why I mentioned there are two options for a lawyer. When you are a graduate, you are eligible for all graduate entries.
Sure.
Only problem is, for a IMA entry, the age is a restriction. If you are below 24, you can join even as a lawyer. And for territorial army, the age is much higher. I think it is 40 plus. So all lawyers are eligible to join as a territorial army. But they may not be doing the job of a lawyer. They will be doing the job of a normal territorial army, depending on where it is deployed.
All right, sir. If there are any other questions that the participants would like to put up to sir, we'll take a 2-minute break, sir, and we'll let the questions flow.
No issue, I'm waiting.
Sure. There are certain questions flowing in, sir.
Okay.
So one of the questions is, the person would like to know that is there the first stage of screening test, that is, on what basis the screening test is conducted to scrutinize the applicants? Were those the same parameters that you had mentioned before?
I mentioned 4 parts of the test. One is IQ, second is seeing the picture and story, third is how you narrate your story, and fourth is a group discussion. These are the tests, but I'll tell you what we are looking for.
Sir.
First, we are looking for your bearing. That means you should not be overweight, you should be looking okay. Not that we are looking for actors or actresses, but you should not be too bulky so that you are unfit in the ground test. We are looking at your communication skills. We are looking at your confidence. We are looking at your stammer. We are looking at your group behavior. We are looking at how can you see the things correctly. Because when we show you a picture, we show you a picture of something and you're writing a story of something. So these are the things.
All right.
And in practice, I'm sure anybody can qualify that test. It is not difficult. You need guidance, you need preparation.
Sure, sir.
Anybody is interested, they can contact me separately.
Definitely. There's also a request for a comment on the recent 3-year army internship that has been proposed by the government.
A 3-year thing is just a proposal. And my knowledge and your knowledge will be same as what has come in the newspaper. Because there are a lot of people who are commenting that 3 years is too small a period to have an experience of army. One of the views is it is like a compulsory military service. You will come out to be a better human being. But then it will depend on what age you join, what age you finish, so that after 3 years, what are you? You are nothing. You are out in the open. So if you join early, you leave early, then you are eligible for all other jobs. So let's see. it is accepted or not, it is just a proposal at this stage.
All right, sir. I suppose these are all the.
Email what is there in
Sir,
the,
sir, how correct is it to say that a candidate is not expected to be aware of the legal provisions during the personal interview?
who said this? He should not be aware. He should be aware.
Sir, is it required that he should be aware of the military laws or the
No,
general laws?
he is not required to know about military laws. Since you are going specially for a JAG branch, your minimum qualification is BA LLB, the interviewing officer is at a liberty to ask you certain questions on legal knowledge, not on military knowledge, military law knowledge. Have you understood?
Thank you.
Sunil, have you understood?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Just a second, sir. There's another participant that wants to join in on the conversation.
Okay.
Lily, you're unmuted. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
I see the participant. Okay, the name is there. Yes, Pallavi, good evening.
Sir, my question is a bit off track.
Okay.
Sir, why is NDA not open for female aspirants?
See, we initially had no women entry. Then we had women entry. Then the women entry was short service. Now it is permanent commission. We earlier had Sainik schools without women. Now we have started women in Sainik schools. So I think I have answered your question.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you may have women joining NDA also. See, NDA was permanent commission. Till now there was no permanent commission for women. So how could they join NDA? So maybe, I don't know, what is the thought process?
Thank you so much, sir.
Why are you worried about you must be, you would have crossed the age of joining NDA.
No, sir. Yes, sir. But when I was in my high school, I was really sad for this reason.
Okay. But don't worry, if you have age now, you will get the same adventure what you were looking for while being at NDA. If you are keen, you must try. What is your age? Sorry, I'm asking you this question.
Sir, I'm 21.
Then, and you are which year student?
Second year.
By the time you finish law, what would be your age?
25.
Okay. But do you get a separate graduate degree
Yes, sir.
after 3 years?
Yes, sir.
So please apply for CDS, which is as good as NDA.
Yes, sir. Sure.
After 3 years, after completing your graduation, you can apply for CDS.
Yes, sir. I'm aiming for it.
Please aim for that. That is a very good entry, and now you have a permanent commission.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome.
Sir, there's another question flowing in, and I think this shall be answered on the basis of the age factor. The
Okay.
question says, is there any restriction on the number of attempts that a person can have?
No restriction. I have seen people who've been coming for SSB 15 times, 20 times. Okay. It is not like IS where you get 3 or whatever number of chances. There is no restriction as long as your age is permitting. You are meeting that criteria, you will be called for SSB.
All right, sir. I think that's about all of the questions that have come up.
Okay. If anybody else is keen, I don't mind answering it.
We'll take a 2-minute break once more if there are any other questions, or we'll wrap up.
Okay. Okay.
Sir, does a JAG officer get to be a commander in the defense forces? Like I know that the role they take in
Okay.
are the advisory roles, but do they get to become the commanders?
You will never be commander of a fighting troops, but you will be the commander of your branch. If you are a colonel, you are head of the branch, you are commander of that branch, you got 8-9 officers, you got 10-15 men under you. You will be only fighting legal battles on paper and not on ground. But yes, initially, when you are doing attachment with infantry, you will be a commander.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
And that time they may give you an option if you are very keen to convert from Jack Branch to back to infantry. May. Very rare.
Okay.
Maybe you are not keen to remain in infantry. You would like to be in your own profession.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, sir. There's one last question that we'll be taking up. Is there? I'm sure it's a final question. It's a funny question that comes up to a person's mind.
Okay.
I hope the JAG officers are subjected to this same strict uniform routines as the regular officers.
I couldn't get the question. Same uniform?
Yeah, JAG officers are subjected to the same routine of uniforms as the regular officers and other things.
Is the question pertaining to the uniform or is it pertaining to the routine? Is the
The
speaker there?
uniform, particularly the uniform, in general, the routine.
The uniform is same. Only thing is on your shoulders you will have a JAG type of that's insignia. Otherwise there is no change in the uniform, in the medals, in your nameplates. Everything is same. Routine, you will have more of office routine. You will be more into paperwork. It is like what you do in corporate world. You study the cases, put your recommendations, give it to your boss or go to the court. Here, say inquiry has come to you. It has come to you for a legal vetting. You will go through the inquiry. You will see what was the charge. Has the presiding officer followed all the rules and regulations in giving his opinion or not? And what is the maximum punishment can be given for this act? So this will be vetting of the legal documents.
All right.
It will be your main job.
All right, sir. One of the specifics that is provided is that there is a study leave that is given. Is the study leave a paid leave considering a person wants to take up LLM?
It's a paid leave.
All right.
But it is not later. It is not on the initial, it is after 14, 15 years of.
Sure. All right, sir.
Don't enter army to take study leave. Okay, for your personal growth. It is much later when you grown in service and when they feel you need to, and they have a limited number of vacancies, everyone will be getting it. Okay.
Sir, I have one more question. Sir,
Yes.
what if a JAG officer, does not get a permanent commission? So for him, what is the future prospect?
Okay. Initially, the short service was for 5 years. Okay. But now it is 10 plus 4. So 10, nobody is going to throw you out. At 10th year, you are supposed to apply for a permanent commission. If your reports and everything is good, you will get permanent commission. If you don't, then you can ask for a 4-year extension. That means everybody will be able to serve for 14 years.
Okay, sir.
You understood?
Yes, sir.
And 10 years, after 10 years, you can leave anytime if you have not got permanent. That means between 10 and 14, moment you get a job somewhere, you can leave. And with 10 years of background as a military service in a legal job, you will be picked up by corporate anytime. You will be a hot selling object.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I think that's about it. That's all the questions relevant to the aspect.
Okay.
I thank you on behalf of the HNLU fraternity for arranging for this time. And there are a lot of students who would like to get connected to you at a later point.
You have my mobile number. They can get in touch with me anytime, either on or on calls. I don't mind, because my passion is to tell people about this, how to go about. Okay. And especially nowadays with lockdown, one is locked down in the house, so time is not an issue.
Definitely.
So all the best to the students of this famous university. It was a privilege to get this option to speak to the students of NLU. I keep telling people NLU is what IIT is to the engineers, because very few people are aware about NLUs. Because in India, people only talk of either IITs or they talk of IIMs. The awareness about NLUs will still take some time. So I keep telling them NLUs are another IITs or IIMs. So their students, I give my salute to them. Your selection process, I know it's very tough. And wherever you go, whether in army or outside, I'm sure you will do well in your life. I wish you all the best and thank you very much for conducting this webinar.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, sir. Thank you so much for taking out your time.
And Sunil, you've been a great help. You've been in touch throughout. And today it has been successful with your efforts. Thank you, Sunil, and thank you, Achu.
Thank you, sir.
Achu, for your technical help because we were getting stuck yesterday.
Not a problem, sir. Always available.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.